Start your business day right. Morning Drive with Tim Elliott on Mira Business FM.
Welcome to the Morning Drive. Here we are, Friday morning. Welcome to the show. MiraBusiness.fm is the website. If you're with us there, hello. If you're with us on YouTube or Twitch or Rumble or Daily Motion, hello and welcome there. If you're listening to a podcast right now, practically everything we do is available to either listen or watch or both. Once again, so just search Mira Business FM, M-I-R-A, wherever you get your podcast from, and you can find us across social media as well. To contact us, info@mira.fm, but also you can get us by WhatsApp too, which is 522-789-567, or whatsapp.mira.fm. So this morning we begin welcoming Jeff Rhodes to the studio. He's here at a slightly different time. It feels quite natural to see you this early, Jeff. I don't know what that says about me or you.
It doesn't. It says about the timing. We've got more of a listenership, I think, at this time than 10 or 11 o'clock.
I think.
And also it feels good to start the day talking about gold.
It does. There's kind of a clarity that brings in my mind, I think. I don't know where I'm going with this conversation. Do you know what? It's nice to see you. We haven't seen you for about a week. Last time you were with us, it was over at Zoom, just before the Sevens weekend. How was that, by the way?
That was fantastic.
Yeah? Everything go well? How was your goddaughter?
Yeah, they had a bit of a tough time, right, I must say, but they're sort of young kids between 18, 19, 20, and they're playing in the ladies, World Sevens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but they did well enough, and start of the season for them, they're in Cape Town at the moment, so it's not a bad life for a 19-year-old.
It must be great that, because people don't realise that about the Sevens, I think. It's I was going to say touring circus. I don't mean it in those terms, but it kind of is.
It is,
because it tours the world.
It does, exactly. Yeah. And so, I think, look, the only way is up. But she herself, Abigail Pritchard, give Abigail a plug. Absolutely. She did great, actually. Yeah, she's one of the younger ones in the squad. So good for her.
She was brought up here, wasn't she?
She was, yeah.
And is now in the UK, kind of following the rugby
Gloucester. Yeah,
dream.
She plays for Gloucester Hartpury and Gloucester University, and she's part of the GB Sevens team that are now taking on the world. So she's done well. It's really a credit to Dubai and the rugby here. She was always touch rugby, and rugby is a big part of the society here. We've got the I think it's Dubai Exiles.
That's right.
So, so her dad, Julian, was captain of the Exiles at one point, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a big scene. There's the Exiles, Dubai Irish, I think, are a team here as well. I'm not really up to date with it, I've got to be honest. But the Sevens every year is 3 days of that's, I don't know, 100,000 people.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot. Let me tell you a story. When I first came here. So I'd been here a week. This is in February 1997.
Right.
I was invited to a barbecue by our lawyer. So went to the barbecue and I met Julian Pritchard. And I didn't have a clue about. I'm a football guy. I didn't have a clue about rugby, and we started chatting. And he was telling me about the Dubai Exiles and said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I've come to set up a bank."
Right.
What? Set up a bank, Standard Bank. It was Standard Bank London, which is owned by Standard Bank of South Africa. Yeah. So branch of Standard Bank London, but South African. And obviously very, very big into rugby. And he invited me to sponsor the Sevens, sponsor the Exiles.
Right.
I thought, why not? It wasn't that much money. I'm telling you, Tim, that actually was the catalyst that drove the Standard Bank success story, because we were suddenly in front of thousands of expats who most of all of them wanted to have offshore accounts. So for not much money, I managed to get exposure to the big wide world that was Dubai at the time, and so the rest was history.
So sometimes opportunities just present themselves.
They do here,
don't they?
They do here.
Particularly here.
That's the thing about Dubai. If there's anything about you, you will do well. And whereas you may struggle in London or New York, really Dubai is a place where you can really develop maybe just a good idea into a great business. So, and here I am talking to you after 28 years.
I was going to say, yeah, absolutely right. And you still describe yourself as an oik from East London
I
as well.
still am an oik from East London.
Which I contest. I don't see any oikness about you. Look, let's go on to gold. Last time we spoke, the situation was, I think my words to you were steady Eddie, and I think we kind of agreed on that, really. Yeah. Gold's been hovering around the 4,100, 4,200 levels,
Correct.
round about there.
Yeah, it is exactly there as we speak now. It's been a very, very quiet week. It's actually been, I would say, a quiet 3 weeks after all the excesses that we've seen gold in September rally from around 3,600 up to a high of 43,881.
It's ingrained.
Ingrained. And but I think the impressive thing about Dubai, about the gold market, is holding well. Yeah. It's had this rally, and it's still up about 55% on the year. So it's had this rally and is hanging in there. We're now heading into, obviously, Christmas, New Year. Volumes are light. Yeah. So it can mean one of two things. You just stick around, there won't be much action, or there'll be kind of excess price volatility, because the thinner the markets, the thinner the atmosphere, the more volatility you can have. But it's not been that way. This week's been very quiet, range really between 41.50 and 42.50, and right in the middle as we speak. We've got big numbers today coming from the US, personal spending and income, and also closely watched inflation data, the PCE index, which the Fed looks at when it's making its decisions. So big numbers today. If they're relatively soft, then we've really got a shoe in that next week we're going to have a 25 basis point cut in interest rates by the Fed, which of course will be good for gold. You never know. They could get really aggressive and go for 50 basis points.
Oh,
now,
what
would that do? That would ingratiate themselves to President Trump, who believes rates should be around 2%. Yeah. So instead of 4%. It would be interesting. So it's an interesting number today. So we could have some fun. And then I think that determines what happens today, determines next week, and then all eyes will be on the Fed. 10th to 11th of December. Yeah.
Right. So most of the smart money seems to be positive on a rate cut, whether it's 25 basis points or 50, we find out should be good for gold. Do you know what I thought was interesting about this? I was reading your report, yesterday's report it was, and it was, this is the point you made. Markets are now assigning an 89% chance of a rate cut next week.
Yeah.
Okay. What I like about that is the accuracy of it's going to be 89% according to the markets. Not almost 90 or 90%, but an 89% chance.
Yeah, why not?
I just thought...
If that's the number, but this is
random.
simply, it's not plucked out of thin air. They do a kind of, talk to many people in the market, and they get an average, and that average is 89%. Look, it's given. 25 basis points is given.
Yeah.
And it's in all prices. It's in gold, silver, equities, FX. That number's there. The big surprise would either be nothing or 50 basis points. Both of those probably about 10% chance of no change or 50 basis points change. As I say, I'm a bit of a kind of, what can I say, I have to describe. I believe that something is going to happen to break the current situation, and it could be 50 basis points. Where does that put gold? Definitely above 4,400.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If not, maybe it could still go back. If there's no change, could go back towards 3,800. So the parameters for me, potentially 3,800, 4,400, but most likely, as we go into Christmas and New Year, around about 4,100.
Right. Okay.
I would say.
So we're back to the steady Eddie.
Steady
aren't we,
Eddie.
again? Yeah.
I love this. Steady Eddie is great. It's good for the jewelry market.
Well, I mean that's that nice balance of equilibrium, isn't it?
It does.
As simple as that.
Yeah, it's a surprise. It's like a new gold standard.
It absolutely is. No,
Yeah.
you're quite right. Better than bumper cars, as we characterised it a couple of weeks ago, I suppose. You mentioned the personal consumption expenditures index, PCE, which is kind of the Fed's sort of inflation gauge.
It is the Fed's go-to
It's a go-to
gauge.
index. That's out today. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah. Well, just elaborate a little bit on what you think that might.
Well, the
push them
numbers
towards.
are expected to be in line, running around 3 to 4%.
Right.
You would have thought certainly 3%, but if it let's say put some numbers on it, if it came in at 2, that's bullish for gold. Really is. If it came in at 4, it's bearish for gold. So something in the middle, and a lot of people don't trust these numbers. Certainly because they're delayed. I mean, they've been delayed a long time. So I think it's sort of take it with a pinch of salt. But fundamentally, I would expect us to go into the weekend at 4,100, say 4,150. If there is no surprise next week, then that's where we're staying. I can't see any other news. You know, look, we've got Russia, Ukraine. Everyone says if that peace is declared, that's extremely bearish for gold. I don't see it.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think it's been in the gold price now for 4 years. So I don't see how that impacts anything. So it is all about the Fed. It's all about interest rates, and it's based on numbers.
Let me jump back to your report again for a moment, not just to show off that I actually read the reports that you WhatsApp to
I'm really
me.
impressed, actually.
I genuinely do, because it will pop up on my phone, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got to read that again.
I
And then
feel
other times I
vindicated,
think,
Tim.
no, I'm developing this interest. I blame you. So you quote a guy, a commodity strategist at ANZ, or ANZ, as we would say. Sony Kumari is this person's name. What the market needs now is a fresh trigger for gold prices to move higher. You kind of alluded to, something needs to break. What might that trigger be?
Yeah, I think it's all about interest rates and inflation. So lower interest rates, good for gold.
Yeah.
Really good for gold. A sharp decrease in the interest rate, great for gold. But I don't see anything that would come along to really cause a sharp sell-off now. It's had every chance to go lower. Yeah. And it hasn't.
And you see no impact of Russia-Ukraine, whatever happens there, really?
No, I don't, honestly.
Okay.
I think, I would hope that there's good news, but I can't see it having much of an impact.
Okay. Right now, any changes, because we're coming towards the end of the year, so this is, naturally I have to kind of, get you to, point your finger in one direction or, do that, hold the licked forefinger up to the wind. It is very technical. Yeah. Any changes to your view on the gold's kind of upwards trajectory next year? Are you still sticking to the, we could be headed to 5,000 territory?
Yeah, I probably would say we are heading for 5,000 in next year. I do. I think certainly I don't see interest rates going anywhere. What do we got? I think it's in February or certainly March. We got a new Fed governor. And that new Fed governor, the name that's being touted, I forget now, but he is a pick of Donald Trump. And that means he has an affinity with low interest rates. Right. Because certainly President Trump has the view that lower interest rates really generates the economy, is a real boost for the economy. And, so it means a weaker dollar, because, of course, low interest rates in dollars is not good for the dollar. So we'll see a lower dollar rate. But I think that with interest rates heading south, that gold, there's only one way for it to go. really, and it's a case of how far. I think the first move is 4,500, but for next year, 5,000, 5,500. I probably, if you really, really force me to say what would the high for 2026 be.
I love how I'm not really forcing you, but I love that
I'll let
go
you do
there.
it. Let's pick a number, 6,500.
Really?
That's my number. Silver, which has been within a whisker of 60.
Yeah.
Okay, a fresh high this week of 58.98.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's so close. I'm hoping we're going to get there, but 60 is a given. Once we've hit 60, then you're looking at 75. Next year, high silver, $125.
$125
Yes,
for silver.
next year. That's
Okay.
my high for next year.
Right. Well, this will ripple out on YouTube. I think. I wanted to put a comment to you from somebody that I think has been watching this on YouTube. I was going to say to you first of all this morning, not long till 60. Surely, clearly, that's the case.
Yeah.
But that's 100 and something percent growth, Jeff. By the way, next year for silver.
Well, that's what we've had this year.
I know, but I mean that's 200% in.
Silver has been arguably artificially, kind of held back for many years. Some would argue, and they would point to all of the silver that's held in London, in vaults in London. But what they never focused on, that more and more and more, that silver has backed ETFs.
Right.
So although it seemed to have been plentiful, actually a lot of that was spoken for. And now the market's realised it, and you've got people like the US are now calling it and ratified it as a strategic metal, same as China. So the big boys in silver, in China, India, and the US, they believe in silver, and the fundamentals suggest definitely $100. Okay, there's more demand than supply every year, and there's getting more and more demand. AI uses a lot of silver. Solar panels uses a lot of silver. Okay, cars, the electric cars, the circuit boards use a lot of silver. Honestly, and then if you look at gold is actually, sorry to say, useless. I mean, it's not. It's lovely for jewelry, but you don't need gold to live. You need silver.
It's a very good point. Okay, so I there's me thinking, 6 months ago you'd be out on a limb saying, "Oh, surely 60 soon," but it's come to pass. Hasn't
It was 12 months ago. I did my 60 podcast, one of the podcasts in Canada, and they were shocked. And I was no. But quite recently, they came back onto me and said, "Well done. Where did that come from? What do you think for this year?"
Well, you need to go back to them and say, "Look, it's 125 this time next year."
I do believe that.
Okay. Well, that's the figure for today. Let me just write this down. I'm actually taking physical notes these days rather than digital notes. So there you go. Here's a comment for you from somebody on YouTube. Somebody called Rude Awakening 3833. There you go. 56.45 exclamation marks. Let's see what happens on Sunday afternoon. This comment was November the 30th. We haven't seen you, obviously, for a few days, at 5 o'clock. This person continues, you could have mentioned that China shut off the valve on any future physical silver exports as well.
Yeah, I could have done. Yeah, if I'd have known. And it was a Sunday, and I was at the Sevens. Look,
it's the one time maybe that you weren't completely focused on gold at the Sevens or silver.
Absolutely.
Or precious metals.
Look, China and silver go hand in hand. It's one of the biggest producers of silver. Silver, 2/3 of silver is byproduct. I don't know whether people realise that, but when you dig copper out of the ground, you get silver. When you dig gold out of the ground, you get silver. When you dig lead out of the ground, you get silver.
Okay.
So very much it's a byproduct, And the way silver has been treated in China over the years has been a bit odd in many ways because it's a precious metal, but it's also industrial. And in China, unless things have changed, it attracts VAT. I think that number is a big number, 22%, and so on. If it's exported, I guess, they don't collect the VAT. So, yeah, it would make sense. But in the overall scheme of things, it's not really the driver of the silver price. The silver price is driven by demand.
Right.
The cost of production, I'd ask you a question, Tim.
Go on.
Reverse it. So what is the cost of production for producing silver? 1 ounce of silver, how much does that cost?
That's a great question. I have absolutely no clue. Nowhere to go with that at all. I don't know how it works.
Well, silver
I guess
at
it's
the moment
low.
is like just under 60. So what do you think the number would be?
59.
Very good. It's zero.
Well, it's a
Because
byproduct,
what
isn't
it is an accounting entry. Because if it's a copper producing mining company, right, it's the cost of producing copper.
Yeah.
And you get the silver for free.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an accounting entry.
Right.
This is why silver is so difficult to predict and to analyze because, 2/3 of production is whatever the cost is, whatever you want it to be.
Okay. And as a byproduct, it's a happy byproduct, of course. Still, between gold and silver, palladium, platinum, you're more of a silver guy almost. Aren't you?
Listen,
What's your favourite?
Yeah, it's been my favourite. I tell you why. In the early days at Samuel Montague in London, so you would have the market makers on the phone dealing with each other.
Yeah.
And let's say I was working at Montague and there was JP Morgan, so we called JP Morgan. And you would always ask for gold and silver, that way round. That was the protocol.
Yeah.
So then the guy would quote gold, and you might deal. So because you're being shown the direction, then when you give the silver price and you've sold a bit of gold, you know to raise your price. So trading silver and going second was always much easier than trading gold. And I love doing silver just for that reason. It had to be pretty dopey not to make money.
That's fantastic. That's why you're here. Final thoughts. We've got, a couple of minutes. Platinum, palladium. Just before we came on air, we were sat out in the office there talking, and you made a call about one of those metals.
Yeah, I did. I'm very, very, very bullish for platinum. I think it has been, platinum and palladium have been hurt by the development of the electronic cars.
Yep.
However, what people are starting to realize that you need platinum and maybe palladium, but certainly platinum in the circuit boards. And so there is really a growing demand for platinum. China, that you mentioned, there's been big buying this year, investment buying for platinum in jewelry. So there's a really growing demand again for platinum jewelry. And platinum is in a constant backwardation. That means that the spot price is above the forward price. And it should always be the other way around.
Yeah.
So that tells me there's much, much more physical buying of platinum than is being produced. And probably at the moment, we're around about 1650. It's been at 1750 this year. The all-time high is about 3200, if I remember correctly. I see platinum over the next year or two being perhaps even more expensive than gold, but certainly has a chance to be in that kind of $3,000 to $4,000. Maybe if I had to pick a number for next year, I'd say 3,500.
I'm just writing this down. I was just saying this. You may have noticed.
I'm very friendly towards platinum.
Okay.
Palladium is difficult, and one of the reasons it's so difficult, it's produced really by two countries in the world. And they're about equal producers, South Africa and Russia.
Okay.
And we know both countries have their own problems. And so trying to predict the palladium price has always been difficult. and subject to something happening in one or both of those countries. So, yeah. So I've always found it a lot more difficult than platinum and silver and gold. Certainly silver and platinum, lots of fundamentals to help you with your, determining the price you think it should be. And so I think we're in for an interesting 2026. I believe all four metals will go much higher. I'm not going to give you, I will give you a number on palladium because that's what I like doing. Let's call palladium 2,500 high next year.
Okay, so what I've got here is the following. Jeff Rhodes' predictions for 2026. Gold, perhaps as high as 6,500.
Yes.
Silver, 125.
Yes.
From nearly 60, right, as we sit today. Platinum as high as 3,500 and palladium, 2,500.
Correct.
All right, let's see what happens. But you know what, Jeff, it's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Jeff Rhodes, CEO of Goldstrom Advisory. Lovely to see you.
Great.
Appreciate it. This is Mira Business FM.